Welcome. If you're tuning in, you're likely someone who wants to go deeper than the headlines, to really grapple with complex ideas.
And that's what we aim for here.
Today we're diving into consciousness itself and how it might connect to some, well, pretty extraordinary human experiences.
We're basing this on a major piece of work, A Greater Reality. It's this huge 4-volume collection edited by Renario Hernandez, packed with academic papers.
4 volumes, that's substantial.
Oh, it is. We're talking contributions from over 45 academics, different fields, plus insights from 75 people who've actually had these experiences firsthand.
So this isn't just speculation then, it's grounded in research and lived experience.
Exactly. And our goal today is to kind of navigate that landscape with you, pull out the key ideas, the main arguments about consciousness.
Think of it like a crash course, maybe. A shortcut to understanding some potentially paradigm-shifting concepts.
A rigorous one, though. This material, it really assumes a certain level of engagement, almost like a college seminar. We'll be touching on theory, research.
Right. It's not Consciousness 101. We're diving into some complex stuff. Theoretical models, research findings.
From astrophysics to psychology,
Yeah.
It challenges a lot of standard assumptions. So it requires some intellectual heavy lifting.
Absolutely. And with, 4 volumes worth of material, there's a lot to unpack. Where does the book even begin with all this?
It starts with something pretty fundamental, actually, a kind of imperative for human evolution.
Evolution. In what sense?
Well, the opening premise, and Hernandez really emphasizes this, is that we're at a kind of crossroads.
Okay.
The idea is to avoid heading down a destructive path, thinking unsustainable practices, old ways of thinking. We need a major leap forward.
Not just technologically, I assume?
No. Fundamentally in our thinking, our knowledge, our spirituality, and definitely our consciousness. That's the core of it.
So it's an internal shift they're calling for, not just fixing external problems.
Precisely. It's about evolving our collective awareness, our values. The argument is that our current level of consciousness just isn't equipped for the challenges we've created.
And what kind of shift are they suggesting is needed? Is there a specific direction?
A big part of it is moving away from this very, self-centered, competitive, every man for himself kind of mindset.
Towards
Something more based on altruism, cooperation, unity, that whole all for one for all idea. This shift to, let's call it unity consciousness, is presented as essential for our survival, basically.
Okay, that sets a pretty grand stage. From that need for evolution, the book then jumps into some really deep theoretical water, doesn't it? This idea of a multidimensional spiritual reality, even a virtual one.
It's a huge conceptual leap, yes. The central hypothesis is that we aren't just physical beings limited to this world.
Right.
And so the idea is we're fundamentally multidimensional, even eternal spiritual beings, just having a temporary physical experience.
And this is happening within what they call the greater reality, or the quantum hologram. That term comes from Dr. Edgar Mitchell, right? The astronaut.
That's right, Edgar Mitchell. And it's not just a loose metaphor. The quantum hologram idea is presented as a potential mechanism for how the universe stores and retrieves information.
Like how?
Think about a hologram. Every tiny piece contains the whole picture, right? So the idea is that reality itself, all information, might be interconnected and accessible in a similar way everywhere.
Wow.
Mitchell thought our consciousness interacts with this field, maybe drawing information from it, maybe contributing to it. He even connected it to concepts like the mind of God, like the vast self-learning information system.
So if that's the deeper reality, this quantum hologram, what about our everyday world? The book uses the term Maya.
Yes, Maya. Borrowed from Eastern philosophy, it suggests that what our 5 senses tell us this solid, separate world is, well, kind of an illusion.
An illusion, or maybe just incomplete.
Incomplete, perhaps, or a construct. It's the way our consciousness interfaces with that deeper, greater reality. It's not the fundamental reality itself.
So our experience is filtered somehow.
That's the idea. Our real self, our consciousness, is part of this much larger living system, this greater reality, may be connected through a kind of universal mind.
This really flips the script on standard materialism, doesn't it? Making consciousness primary.
Absolutely. That's a core idea. Consciousness isn't something the brain produces, like digestion. Instead, consciousness is the fundamental stuff of reality, and the physical world emerges from it. That's the post-materialist view in a nutshell.
Okay, that's a lot to take in. But it sets the stage for understanding these contact modalities the book talks about. What does that term actually cover?
Contact modalities is the umbrella term used in the book for all the different ways people report experiences of, well, connecting with something beyond the physical.
Like contacting other intelligences. or just experiencing that greater reality directly?
Both, potentially. It covers interaction with what they call consciousness-based higher forms of intelligence, but also experiences that seem to reveal aspects of that deeper, non-physical reality. It tries to unify a lot of different phenomena.
And the list is really varied, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. It includes things like near-death experiences, NDEs.
Where people feel they leave their body during a crisis.
Exactly. And out-of-body experiences, OBEs, more generally. Then there's what they specifically call conscious aerial phenomena, or CAP-UFOs.
KP-UFOs. Why that specific term, not just UFO or UAP?
That's a key point. They use KP-UFO to deliberately emphasize the consciousness aspect. The argument is that just calling them objects or phenomena misses the possibility that intelligence, consciousness, is involved.
So it's not just about what they are, but who or what kind of consciousness might be behind them.
Precisely. It shifts the focus from just unidentified things to potentially conscious entities or manifestations.
Okay, that makes sense within their framework. What else falls under contact modalities?
Well, there's reported contact with the deceased, ghosts, spirits, that sort of thing. Experiences during hallucinogenic journeys like with DMT or psilocybin. Remote viewing, clairvoyance, getting information seemingly without using the senses. Channeling, mediumship. Reports of communication after someone has died.
Post-death communications.
Right. Lucid dreams, where you know you're dreaming. Even things like poltergeist activity or feelings of spiritual attachment. It's a very broad net.
It really is. That emphasis on KP-UFOs, though, leads directly into this core idea you mentioned, the primacy of consciousness. Let's unpack that a bit more.
Okay. So the consciousness is primary hypothesis. It's really the bedrock of the book's argument. It turns the usual view upside down.
The usual view being that matter is fundamental, and consciousness somehow arises from complex matter, like brains.
Exactly. This hypothesis says no, consciousness is fundamental. It's non-local, not stuck in one point in space or time, and our physical reality actually derives from consciousness.
A radical idea, for sure.
Yeah.
Who are the key thinkers or researchers the book points to in support of this?
Well, they draw on quite a few. Dr. Michael Grosso, for instance, talks about a transcendent mind, like a universal consciousness being the ultimate source of everything.
That sounds quite philosophical, almost spiritual.
It definitely borders on that, yeah. Then you have researchers known for challenging the brain-based model through empirical work. People like Dr. Larry Dossey looking at non-local healing.
And Dr. Bruce Grayson with his decades of NDE research.
Right. And Dr. Peter Sturek, a physicist who took UFOs seriously. Dr. Jim Tucker, studying kids' past life memories. Their work collectively presents anomalies, things that are hard to explain if consciousness is just brain activity.
And personal accounts play a role, too. I know Dr. Eben Alexander's story is in there, the neurosurgeon who had that profound NDE.
Absolutely. His account is powerful because of his background. A neurosurgeon reporting detailed conscious experiences while his cortex was essentially offline. That directly contradicts the standard model. His experience really supports this idea of a spiritual reality beyond the physical brain.
Then there are people like Tom Campbell coming at it from a different angle, more physics-based.
Yeah, Campbell developed this whole my big toe theory based on his own extensive OBE research. He models reality as essentially a virtual information-based system. Consciousness is the computer, and physical reality is a simulation, crudely speaking.
And Giorgio Piacenza uses integral theory. How does that fit?
Piacenza applies Ken Wilber's framework, which tries to integrate insights from science, spirituality, psychology, everything. He uses it to map out how different levels of consciousness might relate to these different contact modalities, putting it all in a bigger developmental picture.
The book even includes channeled material from William Triniet.
It does. Triniet presents information supposedly channeled from Zeta beings. Now, obviously that's controversial scientifically, but the interesting thing is how much the content aligns with the academic arguments about consciousness being primary. It's like an unexpected echo from a different kind of source.
And finally, Ray Hernandez himself, the editor. His own experiences were the catalyst.
Yes. His personal experiences drove him to start the research, found the Consciousness and Contact Research Institute, CCRI, and ultimately compiled this massive work. It brings together the personal and the academic inquiry.
So this idea of non-local consciousness connects everything. The primary consciousness idea, telepathy, maybe even KP-UFOs, and that quantum hologram model from Dr. Mitchell seems key here.
Very key. Mitchell's quantum hologram is proposed as the how. How could consciousness be non-local? How could telepathy work? The theories suggest information isn't just here or there, it's encoded everywhere, perhaps in the zero-point field.
The zero-point field, sometimes called the Akashic Records in more esoteric terms.
Exactly. That's the parallel often drawn. A universal database, if you like, that consciousness can potentially access, maybe interacting via this field.
So the brain isn't the hard drive, it's more like the modem or the antenna tuning into this field.
That's a decent analogy, yeah. It implies we're interconnected at a fundamental level, able to tap into information beyond our immediate physical senses.
And Dr. Glenn Ryan's work takes that further, looking at communication with non-human intelligence.
Rain explores how the quantum hologram physics might allow for information exchange across dimensions, or with NHIs, through these contact modalities. He looks at things like resonance and subtle energy.
Then Dr. Rudy Child has this wild idea about MECOs. What are those?
Magnetospheric, eternally collapsing objects. Child hypothesizes these astronomical objects might actually be natural information storage units, like cosmic hard drives, or even neurons of cosmic intelligence, storing that Akashic record type information.
Wow. So a potential physical basis for accessing this non-local information.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
It's another theoretical piece trying to bridge physics and these seemingly paranormal experiences described in the contact modalities.
And the book connects these newer ideas back to earlier thinkers, too, like Bohm and Pribram.
Right. Dr. Joe Lewells summarizes their holographic theories. David Bohm, the physicist, with his implicate-explicit order, and Carl Pribram, the neuroscientist, with his holographic brain model. They laid some important groundwork decades ago for thinking about reality and consciousness in this interconnected holographic way.
Okay, let's move in some specific contact modalities. Near-death experiences seem like a really major focus in the book.
They are. NDEs are presented as perhaps one of the strongest lines of evidence challenging the brain-only model of consciousness. The consistency and clarity of the experiences reported by people who are clinically dead or very close to it are hard to dismiss.
Can you walk us through a sort of typical NDE sequence based on the research presented?
Sure. It often starts with that out-of-body feeling, seeing oneself from a distance, then maybe moving through a tunnel towards an intensely bright, loving light.
The light everyone talks about.
Yeah. Inside the light, people report overwhelming feelings of peace, unconditional love. They might meet beings sometimes identified as deceased relatives, sometimes as spiritual guides or beings of light.
And communication is telepathic.
Often described that way, yes. Instant understanding. Many also report the life reviews, seeing their entire life flash before them, often focusing on the impact of their actions, particularly in terms of love or harm caused.
With a sense of judgment.
Usually self-judgment, based on understanding the interconnectedness of it all. How hurting another was hurting oneself. Some see future possibilities. Some feel they merge with the light, with God, with everything, before coming back.
And they often feel they've lost some profound knowledge upon returning.
Yes, that feeling of knowing everything, then having it slip away, is common. But the core messages often remain.
What are those core messages? What are the big takeaways from NDE research?
The biggest ones are almost always about love and interconnectedness, the overwhelming sense that we are all one, and that love, giving it, receiving it, is fundamentally what matters. Ray Hernandez emphasizes this transformation in values, too.
And the book credits several key NDE researchers.
Oh, definitely. Dr. Sharon Hewitt-Rollett's work on evidence for survival. Dr. Bruce Grayson, who's really tackled the mind-brain problem using NDE data, arguing it points strongly to consciousness being primary.
There are interviews too, right?
Yes, with Dr. Jeffrey Long, who runs the NDERF website, a huge database for statistical analysis, and Dr. Raymond Moody, who really pioneered the field back in the 70s with Life After Life. The book also mentions some newer approaches, like Dr. Raul Valverde and Chet Swanson, using data mining and quantum matrix ontology to find patterns.
Moving from NDEs, what about out-of-body experiences, OBEs, and remote viewing? How does the book position those?
They're presented as further evidence for consciousness operating independently of the physical body. A distinction is sometimes made between a standard OBE, perceiving your immediate physical surroundings from outside your body, and astral travel.
Astral travel being?
More like consciously moving your point of awareness to other realms, non-physical dimensions, the astral plane as some call it. Robert Moreau, of course, popularized OBEs, and Julia Sellers provides a literature review in the book.
And remote viewing.
Stephen A. Schwartz's work is highlighted there. Remote viewing, using protocols like his distant viewing protocol, demonstrates an ability to access information about distant places or events, seemingly bypassing normal sensory channels. Another clear example of non-local consciousness in action.
Does the book mention commonalities between these different states, like NDEs, OBEs, even the CAP-UFO experiences?
Yes, one interesting commonality noted is how thought seems to manifest instantly in many of these states.
Yeah.
Thinking of a place and being there, for example, is reported in NDEs, astral travel, and some UFO contact accounts.
Lucid dreaming gets a mention, too.
Briefly, yes. Daniel Rection reviews it as another modality where consciousness seems to transcend normal space-time, similar perhaps to astral travel, allowing exploration of non-physical realities from within the dream state.
What about phenomena like ghosts or spirits? How does a greater reality approach that topic?
It treats it seriously as another potential manifestation of surviving consciousness. Dr. Gary Schwartz's lab research using mediums is presented as evidence suggesting consciousness persists after death, and communication might be possible.
And field research.
Paul Eno's work investigating ghosts and poltergeists is included. Dr. Eric Oule looks at Marian apparitions sociologically, but also considers links to parapsychology and UAPs.
Yep.
It all ties back to that theme of spiritual evolution Reverend Michael Carter discusses, analyzing the transformations seen in UAP experiencers from the FEFRE data.
The book also covers entheogenic research DMT, psilocybin. That seems like a newer but rapidly growing area relevant to contact.
Absolutely. The research coming out of places like Johns Hopkins with Dr. Roland Griffiths showing these substances can reliably induce mystical experiences, God encounters, is significant.
And the mental health benefits they're finding.
Right. Plus, Dr. Christopher Timmerman's work at Imperial College London is fascinating. His research suggests DMT experiences share striking similarities with NDEs, including reports of contact with other intelligences or dimensions.
So, altered states induced chemically might be tapping into similar aspects of reality as spontaneous NDEs or other modalities.
That's the implication the book explores. It suggests these aren't just hallucinations, but potentially genuine glimpses into other layers of reality or consciousness.
Which brings us back, full circle almost, to CAPs-UFOs. The book really hammers home the idea that these are consciousness-based. The Free Foundation study seems central to that argument.
It really is. That study, with over 4,300 experiencers worldwide, is probably the largest statistical look at the experiencer side of the phenomenon, not just the objects. And the findings are quite revealing.
What were some of the key findings?
Well, first, a significant shift over time from negative or scary interpretations like abduction to more positive ones, viewing it as contact. Huge numbers reported profound positive life changes. More spiritual, more loving, more ecological awareness, less fear of death, less materialism.
So the experiences themselves were transformative.
Very much so. And the experiences weren't just physical. They were overwhelmingly described as psychic, paranormal, consciousness-based, often involving multiple contact modalities happening together.
Like seeing beings and having telepathic communication and an OBE all at once.
Exactly. Reports of manipulating space-time, traveling to other dimensions, receiving complex information or lessons, often spiritual in nature.
And even healings.
Yes, numerous reports of seemingly miraculous medical healings attributed to the non-human intelligence involved. And the spiritual lessons received often echoed NDE themes. The nature of God or source, afterlife, reincarnation, the importance of love, protecting the planet.
Fred Steiger called the study paradigm shifting.
He did, because it moved the focus squarely onto consciousness and the transformative aspects for the experiencer.
And many other researchers contributed perspectives on this consciousness connection.
Yes, lots. Dr. Charles Emmons on how to even study this intersection. Dr. John Klimo arguing strongly for interdimensional realities and the consciousness basis of it all. Dr. Joseph Birx suggesting the experiences might be like holographic projections from NHIs.
There's mention of challenges in places like China.
Right, acknowledging the difficulty experiencers face discussing this openly in some cultures. Brent Rains connects back to John Keel's older ideas linking UFOs and the paranormal.
And perspectives from astrophysics and beyond.
Dr. Massimo Teodrani suggests UFOs might be manifestations of intelligence inherent in the universe itself, maybe manipulating the quantum vacuum. Mary Rodwell offers a unifying theory linking many paranormal modalities. Dr. Michael Grosso places it all in a news story context, connecting UFOs, psycho research, and religion.
Dr. John Alexander, too, with his phenomena without borders idea.
Exactly. Drawing on his government and military background, he stresses the interconnectedness of consciousness, UFOs, the paranormal. And there's an interview with George Knapp, the journalist who's covered this field extensively. It's a really wide range of voices converging on this consciousness theme.
As the book wraps up, the concluding articles seem to pull all these threads together.
They do. They really reinforce those core ideas. Consciousness is primary, and all these diverse contact modalities are interconnected expressions of that primary consciousness operating within a greater reality.
Dennis Briefer offers concluding thoughts.
Yes, and there's that important paper, Arguments for a Post-Materialist Science on Consciousness, signed by several academics like Dr. Gary Schwartz and Dr. Mario Beauregard, making the case that mind is more than just brain activity.
Stephen A. Schwartz uses Kuhn's model of scientific revolutions.
Right, he argues we're in the middle of one right now, where materialism is the old paradigm being challenged and potentially replaced by this new understanding of consciousness as non-local and fundamental.
And there's a personal anecdote about misdiagnosis.
Yeah, it serves as a stark reminder of the real-world consequences of dismissing these experiences, echoing Dr. Klimo's point about needing a post-materialist framework to even understand, let alone help, people having these kinds of potentially paranormal or contact experiences.
This has been, wow, an incredibly dense but fascinating journey through the book's main arguments. If you had to distill it down, what are the absolute key takeaways for someone listening?
I think the biggest one is the profound interconnectedness. The book argues convincingly, I think, that experiences often siloed off NDEs, OBEs, UFO contact, mystical states, mediumship might all be related phenomena, different windows onto the same underlying reality where consciousness is king.
And that this isn't just fringe speculation anymore.
No, the sheer number of serious academics involved, the depth of the research presented across these volumes, it shows a real, rigorous exploration is underway. It points towards a potential massive shift in how we understand ourselves in reality. It's about taking consciousness seriously as a fundamental aspect of the cosmos.
If people want to go even deeper after hearing this, where should they turn? Obviously, the book itself.
A greater reality itself is the primary source, absolutely, all 4 volumes. But beyond that, looking into the individual work of the contributors we've mentioned, Grayson, Mitchell, Long, Dossie, Schwartz, Klimo, Alexander, Piatenza, so many others, their own books and papers offer much more detail on specific areas.
Okay. So as we finish up, what's a final thought, a question maybe, to leave people pondering, something to chew on from all this?
Well, if even some of this framework presented in a greater reality is pointing towards truth, if consciousness is primary, if we are interconnected in these profound ways, and if contact with other forms of intelligence or dimensions is possible, what does that truly mean for who we are and how should we live, both individually and collectively? What kind of reality are we actually participating in?